Tonight, we look at a life that burned bright and fast, a life that, for many, defined a new generation of American politics. We're talking about Charlie Kirk. You might know his name. You've likely seen his face on television or scrolled past his posts online. He was a young man from the suburbs of Chicago who built a political empire from the ground up. He wasn't a senator, he wasn't a governor. Yet his voice reached millions, especially young people, shaping conversations in college quads and on social media feeds across the nation. His story is one of ambition, belief, and a relentless drive to be heard in a world he felt was leaving his values behind. To understand Charlie Kirk, you have to understand the world he saw. He perceived a country at a crossroads, a place where traditional American values were under attack, particularly on college campuses. This wasn't just a political disagreement for him, it was a deeply personal conviction. He saw it as his mission, his calling, to provide a counter-narrative. He wanted to give a voice to students who felt silenced, to build a community for those who felt isolated, and to fight for the principles of free markets and limited government that he held so dear. His journey was anything but conventional. While his peers were navigating their first year of college, Charlie Kirk was charting a different course. He made a bold choice, a gamble that would define the rest of his life. Instead of enrolling in a university, he decided to build one. A university of ideas, a movement. He was just a teenager with an idea, but it was an idea that would resonate powerfully. So, who was Charlie Kirk? He was an organizer, a speaker, an author, and a lightning rod for controversy. Charlie Kirk's story begins not in the halls of Washington, D.C., but in the quiet suburbs of Chicago. Growing up, he was an engaged and ambitious student. He paid attention. He wasn't just going through the motions, he was an Eagle Scout. During high school at Wheeling High School, the seeds of his political awakening were planted. He began to notice what he perceived as a left-leaning bias in his education. That feeling intensified when he got involved in political campaigns. As a high school student, he volunteered for Republican Mark Kirk's Senate campaign. That wasn't just an after-school activity, it was an education. He saw the mechanics of politics, the messaging, the strategy, and the passion. The pivotal moment came from a rejection. He'd aimed for West Point, he was not accepted. For many that'd be a setback. For Kirk it was a catalyst. He turned away from a traditional four-year university. He'd already made a name with his writing. He wrote an essay for Breitbart News, detailing what he saw as liberal indoctrination in textbooks. The essay caught Foster Fries's eye. Fries was impressed by Kirk's passion and clarity. He saw someone who could mobilize a new generation. The meeting changed everything. It provided seed money and mentorship. With Fries's backing, at 18, Kirk made a defining decision. He chose not to go to college. Instead, in 2012, he co-founded Turning Point USA. The organization's mission was audacious: to identify, educate, train, and organize students to promote freedom, free markets, and limited government. He wasn't just complaining, he was building a solution. He was creating a network, a support system, and a platform for young conservatives who felt unheard. This began his rapid ascent from suburban teenager to national political figure. Turning Point USA, or TPUSA as it became widely known, started small. It was an idea fueled by youthful energy and a clear sense of purpose. The initial focus was creating a presence on college campuses. The strategy was direct and visible. Set up tables in student unions, handed out flyers, engaged students one-on-one, brought provocative speakers to campus, sparked debates, drew protests, used bold materials like the Professor Watch List to grab attention. The organization grew fast, from a small startup to a national movement with chapters on thousands of high school campuses and college campuses. Kirk was the face of it. He crisscrossed the country to speak at events, rally students, meet donors. He spoke with energy aimed at young audiences. He used social media masterfully, built a massive online following, spread his message beyond college auditoriums. TPUSA became a brand, a community. For many, a political identity. Kirk made conservatism feel cool to younger people. He understood culture. TPUSA events felt like rock concerts. High-energy speakers, slick video productions, streetwear-style merchandise. He created the Culture War live show tour. It resonated with a social media generation. He built a lifestyle and a counterculture for young conservatives. Kirk expanded influence beyond campuses, launched Turning Point Action, ran Get Out the Vote efforts, engaged in campaign activities, hosted The Charlie Kirk Show, daily radio and podcast, ranked among top news podcasts, became a major conservative media voice, shaped narratives, influenced national political discourse. He built a multifaceted media and activist empire before 30, a remarkable feat. Charlie Kirk's rise was never without controversy. In fact, it was often fueled by it. His and Turning Point USA's aggressive tactics, unapologetic rhetoric, made them a frequent target of criticism. The Professor Watchlist, a website that listed academics accused of discriminating against conservative students, promoting what they called leftist propaganda, was one of the earliest and most significant firestorms. Critics labeled it a modern-day McCarthyist blacklist, arguing it was an attempt to intimidate and silence educators. Kirk defended it fiercely, framing it as a tool for transparency and a way to protect students' rights. This set a pattern. What his supporters saw as bold truth-telling, his detractors viewed as dangerous provocation. His core beliefs were rooted in a deep-seated American conservatism. He was a staunch advocate for free market capitalism, arguing it was the greatest engine for prosperity and for individual liberty. He was a champion of limited government, believing that the federal bureaucracy had grown too large and too intrusive in the lives of ordinary citizens. A significant part of his platform was also dedicated to what he termed cultural issues, defending traditional Judeo-Christian values against what he saw as the encroachment of secular, progressive ideologies. These beliefs were not just talking points, they were the bedrock of his entire public identity and the driving force behind his activism. Throughout his career, Kirk found himself at the center of numerous public disputes. Allegations regarding the organization's finances, its status as a nonprofit, questions about the accuracy of its membership numbers, and frequent clashes with university administrations over free speech rights. He was a vocal supporter of President Donald Trump, a position that solidified his standing within the modern Republican Party, but also drew intense criticism from opponents. He embraced the role of a culture warrior, eagerly engaging in debates over everything from public health mandates to critical race theory. These controversies, however, did little to slow his momentum. In many ways, they amplified his voice and strengthened his bond with his base, and he was their indispensable leader in that fight. The news came as a profound shock to everyone across the political spectrum. In early September 2025, while on a speaking tour, Charlie Kirk was assassinated. At just 31 years old, a life filled with such relentless energy and ambition was cut tragically short. Initial reports confirmed his death was the result of a targeted attack, leaving friends, family, and his millions of followers in a state of disbelief and grief. The man who seemed to be a permanent high-velocity fixture in American political life was suddenly gone. Tributes poured in from all corners, a testament to the sheer size of the footprint he had left in such a short amount of time. The public reaction was immediate and immense. On social media, the platforms where Kirk had built his empire, hashtags trended for days as his supporters shared memories, quotes, and clips of his speeches. Political figures, including former presidents and members of Congress, issued statements expressing their sorrow and condemning the violence, while recognizing his immense contribution to the conservative movement. Conversely, the reaction also highlighted the deep divisions he often navigated. While his opponents expressed condolences for his family, the commentary also reflected the contentious nature of his career, acknowledging the polarizing effect of his political style and the national debate his assassination sparked. Today is September 11, 2025, just days after his assassination, and the question of his legacy is already being fiercely debated. What is clear is that his work will continue. Turning Point USA, the organization he poured his life into, is now a self-sustaining institution with a vast network and a deep bench of young leaders he personally mentored. The structure he built was designed to outlast him, and it will undoubtedly carry his mission forward. His influence is not just in the organization he founded, but in the countless young people he inspired to get involved in politics, to run for office, to start their own campus groups, or simply to speak up for their beliefs. Charlie Kirk's legacy is that of a trailblazer who rewrote the rules for youth political engagement in the 21st century. He demonstrated the power of new media, cultural branding, and unapologetic conviction in mobilizing a generation. He proved that you don't need a traditional resume or a seat in Washington to have a powerful voice in the American conversation. His life was an unfinished chapter, a story of what if that will be debated for years. But his impact is undeniable. He ignited a movement, and the fire he lit shows no signs of burning out. The landscape of American politics is different because of him, and his influence will be felt for a long time to come.